welcome back. Today I have one of my favorite authors, Kristen Ashley. She's a New York Times best-selling author of over 80 books, and I cannot wait to introduce her to you and let her share with you all of her new stuff coming out. She's always got things coming down the pipeline, which is so exciting. She's so busy writing, and all of her books are so wonderful. So welcome, Kristen.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Yes. So exciting. I love doing these Amazon Lives. We have a lot of new followers. Thank you guys for hitting that follow button. Guys, if you drag your little mouse over that follow button, make sure you hit that button so that you can watch more of these, because we are live Monday through Friday, and we'd love for you to follow our Meet the Author series. So Kristen, so welcome. So glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a romance novelist, and I have written over 80, published over 80 romance novels. And I say published because I've written a ton more. They're sitting ready to roll.
That makes my heart so happy.
I can't seem to stop writing, and I'll probably die with my fingers on the keyboard. But I used to. I've been reading romance forever, probably since I was 12 or 13. I started with the little Harlequin Presents, the little oval of the people, staring into each other's eyes and the white around it. And I've been reading romance ever since. I'm a romance junkie. I started writing romance when I was in my 20s, and I started publishing romance when I was in my 40s because I couldn't get anybody to pick me up. Couldn't get an agent, and I couldn't get a publisher. So I started independently publishing, and within 6 months I was selling thousands and thousands of books, thank goodness. And I was able to make it my everyday job. And I've hit the New York Times bestseller list. I've hit the USA Today bestseller list. I've had one of my books made into a movie. So it has been a great ride. Sorry, my cat just decided to show up.
That's okay. We are cat and dog lovers here. That gives me goosebumps, number one, because you're in your right heart space where you'll do it even if you're not getting published. And then even if you don't get the traditional route, you still do it because you love it. And that it truly shows in your work. For those of you that haven't read a Kristen Ashley book yet, I definitely recommend getting a book. I guess I'll jump ahead to one of my questions that I had for you that we can throw out there, because we have a lot of people clicking on things, and we have a lot of viewers right now. Wow. I just looked at the count. I'm like, whoa. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. So if you had one book or one series that you always say is your go-to for beginners, who would it be? Which book?
For my books or other?
Yes, for yours, for beginners. Like if I had no idea about you and I'm like, oh, which one do I read first? Which one would it be?
I would say Raw Chicks. There are a lot of readers and bloggers who have different reading. They'll have a reading list of my books, but I would say Rock Chicks mostly because I do a lot of crossovers, and that's where you meet kind of the integral characters that you might see as Easter eggs in other books. Other people say the Colorado Mountain series, which I think that also is probably a good series to start with too. But the Rock Chick is my flagship series, and I kind of springboarded everything from that series.
Oh, they're all coming in now saying, I started with Mystery Man, then read the Rock Chicks. Definitely Rock Chicks. Rock Chicks rule. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I found you at a whim. I think I saw The Gamble, something on Amazon or somewhere, and I just like the cover. I'm terrible. I judge all the books by their covers. And I said, oh, this looks good. I've never heard of this before. And read it, and I thought, I wonder if she has more. I really like that. And then I looked, and I was like, oh my gosh, like jackpot gold mine. I was like, well, I can see productivity is going to be low for a while. And definitely, I've loved every single book you have put out. Allison said she loved The Gamble too. So yeah, if you guys are watching, tell us in the comments, what was the first book that you found of Kristen's that you fell in love with? I read all the Rock Chicks, and I have them all on my Kindle, all of them. I wish I had them all in my library. I might have to do that because I love them so much. And I've converted my mom and my aunt to reading them all now, and it's been really fun. So I want to talk a little bit about your newest book because, number one, it's really cool that you wrote that with all of us. And that was really neat. Let's talk about that a little bit. How did that work out for you? Like, where'd you get the idea to start After the Climb with us?
Well, last March, when the pandemic was hitting and lockdowns were happening, I make up books in my head all the time. I actually have a problem existing if I don't have a book to make up in my head. I don't listen to podcasts and stuff like that. I try to, but like if I'm vacuuming or something, I'm making up a book in my head. So and most of these books never see my keyboard. But back in the day, when I started publishing, why I had so many books to publish was I would just start writing them. Even though nobody was publishing me, if I had an idea for a book, I would just start writing it. I would stop writing something I was writing just to start writing another book. And a couple of friends of mine, Kristen and Kathy, they were like, "Well, just do it. We're stuck. We don't know what's happening with COVID. Just go for it." And I thought, yeah, this doesn't have any place in my schedule, but I'm just going to write it. And I thought, we're all stuck. Everybody's getting shelter in place. Everybody's getting locked down. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I thought this would be great to break up the day and maybe a little bit of the scariness. And I would just poll my readers about aspects of the book and write the book with them. And so I did a bunch of Facebook polls and, about names and what kind of dogs they should have, what kind of pets they should have, all sorts of stuff. A lot of comments, and then something would make it into the book because somebody commented about something like one of my readers has a dog that has lost one of their legs, and she went into a little bit of detail about how her puppers will have to how muscular and he is because he has to use 3 legs instead of 1. And I thought, well, my hero's going to have a tripod dog. What a great idea. So I loved it so much that I decided that the whole series was going to be written like that. And unfortunately, I couldn't do it because I wrote the 3rd in the series already, and we're so deep into that story that if I had polled people about it, it would have spoiled a story that has.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to write the 3rd book without my readers, but by the time I get to the 4th book, everybody's going to be caught up. They'll know who's involved. And so yeah. So After the Climb, this one so we did it. I did it. And I turned it around really quickly so everybody could read it at COVID. And then I felt something was missing because I went so fast. So I added a number of new chapters, introduced a new character, and I republished it in the special edition. And then we wrote Chasing Serenity together, which I love these covers.
Yes. And so Chasing Serenity comes out September 7th, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And this is, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on the carousel. You guys can go ahead and pre-order it, and it'll arrive close to the day it releases if you go ahead and pre-order it. And if you do the Kindle version, it'll go right to your Kindle. So it's like Christmas for me, because anytime I would look you up and say, oh, she's got something coming, I would always just pre-order it, and then I forget. And then I open my Kindle and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a Kristen Ashley book to read. So that's really helpful, guys. If you guys want to pre-order that, you can, and then you'll have it right away on September 7th. And so I just want to read this comment to you because it was really good. And it says, it's from Allison. I'm a nurse who was working with COVID and loved being a part of the After the Climb process. It really helped me with the pandemic.
Oh,
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Allison. Yeah. And I agree, Susan. I love series books too. I feel like that's one of my favorite things about you. And that was one thing I was trying to wrap my head around the other day. I'm like, how are you writing all these books? Like, do you think about all the characters ahead of time and kind of map them out in your head, or do you just flow with it and go on to the next book and the next book? How does that work?
I flow with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, like the Rock Chick books were going to be, they were only going to be the guys that worked with Lee Nightingale at Nightingale Investigations. And then at the end, it would be Allie, the first heroine, Indy's best friend. And that was it. So it was, I think it was going to be 5 books in the beginning. And then I just kept meeting all these new people. And I'm like, oh, they need a book. Like Oprah, you need a book, and you need a book, and you need a book, and you need a book. Oh, they all need books.
Yes.
So like the same thing is happening with River Rain is I just thought this was going to be just something that I did with my readers, and then it would be a one-off, it'd be a standalone. And now it's like, okay, well, I fell in love with Chloe, so she needs a book. And then in Chloe's book, there's a new character introduced called Rix, and he is amazing, and I love him. So he needs a book, so he's getting a book. And I really feel like River Rain could maybe just, I could be writing that until the day I die, because they're just, every time something happens, you know, there's a new, like now we might be going to England because there's this thing happening in Taking the Leap, which is the next one that I'm thinking I'll have to, and then the heroine has to get with the Scottish guy, and I'm just like,
okay, I love this. I love this. So I'm going to ask you what else you're working on secretly that we don't know about, because I have so many questions. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit in my questions. I loved your Wild West MC book, and there's just one, and I have to know, please tell me that you have like 75 more planned.
That's another one that I think, because I just really love my chaos guys.
Yes.
And I was really, you know, I'm not sure how the readers felt about it, but I was really fascinated with in Free the ex-bounty resurrection MC. I was really interested in their redemption arc, and because they did something unforgivable, and they know it, and how do you move forward in life doing something so awful, you know, knowing that you're, you know, essentially a sinner and you're never going to be a saint. You know, how do you go forward and do good? And so, and then I like this kind of control MC down in Phoenix, where I could share people you know, like I share my love of Denver, I could share my love of Phoenix with folks. And
do you know biker people, or just research?
No, I went to Sturgis once. This is and I work with Bikers Against Child Abuse, so and I know them, and but I don't hang out with bikers or anything. I don't go to biker clubs. I feel
like maybe to live this super exciting life. I don't know.
Well, Sturgis was really amazing. Sturgis was spawned Motorcycle Man, because Sturgis has this horrible reputation of being this very kind of rough and rowdy place that nobody is safe in. And sure, there are probably some campgrounds that you don't go to unless you're kind of involved in the 1%er type deals. But for the most part, in Sturgis, I honestly have never met more gentlemanly men than bikers. You know, they just we were safe. I mean, they watched our purses while we danced. It's just insane.
And one time when I go to Sturgis,
I got somebody I got kind of drunk, and somebody tried to grab my ass, and that don't ever touch a woman when she doesn't want to be touched around a biker. And I was just like, hey, everybody just like cool down. It was really cool. So that's where my bikers come from. Wow. And so I actually want to kind of keep that a little pristine, you know, outside of the people from Bikers Against Child Abuse, because they're just awesome. But because that experience was, you know, it encapsulates what I put in my bikers. So yes, the Wild West MC series is going to be, and there's just so many stories I can tell with that, because I can come back to chaos. There's all these new chaos members in the younger generation. And then there's the resurrection, and we'll have maybe little darker stories. I don't know if anybody picked it up, but there's a character in Still Standing, which has the same last name as a character from Wild Wind, and they're going to be related. They're both girls, and the character from Wild Wind will be getting together with a Resurrection MC guy. So her stepsister is Archie from Wild Wind. So one of Archie's stepsisters is going to be dragged into the MC world.
Okay.
And she's going to get together with the Resurrection guy in the next book.
We've got some really great comments. Allison says, Tack is my favorite, and we have Harley, so Sturgis is on our bucket list. That is awesome. Chaos will be my next series to read, says Paula. Oh my goodness. Yes. That's my favorite thing is that you write these series. You know, nothing makes me sadder than to finish a book and I'm like, there's something else. Like, what do they call it? Like on TV, like show hole. You have nothing to watch. And I feel like that with books. I'm like, you have nothing to watch. If you guys just discovered Kristen Ashley, you are going to be in for a treat because she has so many series that you can go through and start with the Rock Chicks. Where did that inspiration originally come from to start the Rock Chicks? Like, because I think we have to back up just a little and talk about something that you don't share enough of, I think, because probably it's, not something you think about, but you're very philanthropic. You've done a lot of awesome charity work and just give so much to your community. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes, I'm happy to. I mentioned that I started reading romance when I was 12 or 13, and that's around the time when I decided that I wanted to write romance novels for a living. So I knew really early what I wanted to do, and this isn't an easy gig to get. This is people don't make it in this business. This is like getting your own sitcom as an actor or something. It's really a tough business to crack into and get loyal readers and have a career in this business. So I kind of figured I would never succeed. And I had all of these stories, obviously, that I wanted to write, but I never thought I would have readers. And I wrote these stories, and I love these stories. So when they started selling, I really can't describe what that feels like. When people discover your work and they really love your work and they become a part of your world and they can't wait for the next book to come out. I have had fan mail like you just wouldn't believe, just really, really beautiful, or really, really deep, really touching, sometimes tragic, email. I mean, today I just opened my mail and I got this mug, this specifically designed mug that has a quote from Motorcycle Man on it. I mean, somebody went out of their way. Her name is Lisa. She went out of her way to have.
Oh, I love it. What's the quote?
Make a mug for me. I mean, this is my life. Anyway.
What does the quote say?
It's the roller coaster one from Motorcycle Man. Life's a roller coaster, best damn ride in the park. You don't close your eyes, hold on, wait for it to be over. You keep your eyes open, lift your hands straight up in the air, and enjoy the ride for as long as it lasts. Tack says that to Tire End, Motorcycle Man. So, and it's got my name on it.
That is awesome.
And it's like, anyway.
That's so nice.
I can't go to everybody's house that's bought one of my books and say thank you for making my dream come true. So I was a charity executive for almost 20 years, and I thought the best way I can do this is, because this is our sisterhood, is to create programs where I build up the sisterhood. And one of them is the Rock Chick Rendezvous, where I throw these massive weekend parties for all my readers, and there's coffee mornings, and there's big dance nights, and cocktail hours and things like that. And then I do Rock Chick rewards, which we raise a lot of money. We've raised nearly $200,000 for charities that my readers select. I don't select the charities. The readers select the charities. They nominate them. We vet them to make sure that they're real charities and are doing good things with their money. And then we raise money for these charities and we send them money. So that's what we do, and we do it all together. And it's not me. It's not like, or it's not. And we're going to be doing some fun things. We're actually going to auction off. We're going to. I sell swag. I sell a bunch of merchandise with all, like the Trucks Gym. All these logos from my books. You can buy swag, and all of the profits, every penny, goes to these charities. But we're trying to find new things to raise money, and we're going to auction some of the influencer boxes for the Chasing Serenity. But Chloe's dad, Tom, gives her this beautiful, beautiful, very expensive pen when she starts her business. I have one right somewhere.
Was it in the influencer box?
No, it's a Mont Blanc pen. So
okay. There was a nice pen in there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I did see the box, and there is a beautiful Kristen Ashley pen in there. So if you guys can get that box.
It's this pen.
Okay.
I gave it to Chloe. It's this beautiful Marilyn Monroe Mont Blanc pen, and we'll be giving away. We'll be auctioning off these boxes. Not auctioning them off. You can buy raffle tickets, and one winner will get the influencer box with this pen in it. Yeah. It's a $750 pen.
Yeah. I have a friend that's a big fan of this, and she has a few, and I'm like, whoa.
I will never ever, because like every time it's not right here on my desk, I flip out. I think I've accidentally thrown it away or something like that. Like it rolled into a trash can. So I will never ever buy an expensive pen again, because it's like buying an expensive pair of sunglasses and leaving them on the beach. Yeah. But I buy myself nice things every time I publish a book, and that was one of the nice things I bought myself. And I gave it to Chloe, and I love that one of my readers will buy a raffle ticket, and all the money will go to the Rock Chick Nation charities, and they'll have this fabulous pen. They can think of me, and they can think of Chloe, and yeah.
Well, and I love that you've created an amazing community that gives, and that is so awesome. One of my next questions was, I know I always ask this, and authors always kind of go, stop asking that. It's like asking if you have a favorite child. Who is your favorite rock chick?
My favorite rock chick is Indy. I can say that straight up. She's me.
She's my favorite too.
I love me. I mean, I have some of her clothes, or I did back in the day when I was younger and weighed less. But
I also love Tex. Tex is so good. And I know you've talked about him before, that you based him on a real person that you knew. Yeah. And he's like that, I don't know, that person that lives in your hometown, and and you're like, yes, I love that person. What, okay, Chaos. Do you have any more coming for Chaos, or is that done? Or are you going to kind of merge that into the Wild West MC, like you said?
I'm merging it into the Wild West MC. So no, they're not done. If you read the 1001 Dark Nights Black Brothers books, you'll have met some of the newer brothers in those books. Hugger, I can't wait to tell Hugger's story. I don't know what it is, but I know it's going to be good.
Oh my gosh.
So there'll be, what I intend to do is I intend to have a Aces High MC book, Resurrection MC book, and a Chaos MC book. And so you'll see my fabulous cover designer, Amanda, has created these I have Still Standing here. So Still Standing is kind of sepia tones, but with purple. And I think Resurrection has blue, and then like these. She already I haven't written the book, and she already created this cover with the skull face on it. And I'm like, we're using it. I don't even care. And she like made up the title just to throw something at me. I'm like, I'm using that title and everything. We're using that cover. So they'll be blue. Yes, will be yellow. So you'll see who the MC is from the book, and they'll each have there's a little insignia here. Aces High will. And then Chaos will have their insignia, and so they all have their own little look But so, and this is really my ploy, never to let go of chaos.
Well,
because the series kind of did end, and it was a great ending. They rode off into the sunset. It was awesome. And then I'm like, I miss them. I can't do this. Yeah. So this is my ploy too. Never.
I love how they all intertwine, though. I mean, you really, when you think you're done and over with somebody and they come back later, you're like, what? It almost makes you want to reread everything again. And sometimes I do. That is awesome. So, okay, coming up, you have Dream Keeper, and that one is November 30th, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. And that's a great series too, your Dream series.
Yeah.
Loving those. I also, if you guys don't follow Kristen on Pinterest, I would follow her over there too. You can just go to her website, kristenashley.net, at the end and follow her, because one thing I do love is that you have boards. I found this recently and I was like, oh my gosh, they match. I was afraid to look because I was like, well, what if they don't match in my head the way they match in her head? And I think this is a gift, because it's almost like when you watch a movie, they're never as good as the book. But when I looked at your boards, it was bizarre, because everything you chose on your inspiration board was the way I saw it in my head. And I think you were so good at describing the environment, the clothes, the people in the shoes. And it was just so good. It was like, whoa, that matched. And so that's pretty cool. What was it like to have a movie made at your books? Were you just beside yourself? What did you think?
Actually, I was really worried, because you don't really see, movies are never as good as the books, and my books are my babies, and I put a lot of emotional blood, sweat, and tears into them. And so I really thought you kind of have to give up, even though Passion Flicks made it, and I was a producer on, and so I had a very integral role in making the, in inputting into the movie. It's kind of like, okay, well, I'm just going to have to just let them do what they're going to do. But the minute I got the script, I thought, whoa, they knocked it out of the park.
They nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like almost a 600-page book, and it's a 2-hour movie. And, so they couldn't get into everything unless they made it like a mini series, but they did beautifully. Yes.
I mean, you guys can tell me in the comments if you agree. They're all saying they reread too. And I never reread books ever, except for yours. I have never reread any other author's books, because I have the attention span of a fly. But yours are like coming home. Like if you are having a hard time, you can just go back and reread some chaos books and your mood is lifted. And do you guys agree in the comments? I think they all need to be miniseries. I don't know. I just think like chaos. I could see it. The Rock Chicks, especially. What would you say? Would you be open for that?
Yeah, I think the Rock Chicks would make an amazing series. I mean, you have Indian Lee's story is one season, and then season it would be Eddie and Jet, and the next season would be Roxy and Hank. I think you've got 10 seasons of books of series, and of the series, and I think that they're just funny, and I am tooting my own horn, but
no, they're good.
They were written like this, where in the beginning they're very, very much of a kind of a joyride. Anything goes, and it's just fun and frivolous, but then you start getting to really deep stuff. And I started to do that because of the sisterhood in those books. As they go along, the sisterhood gets deeper and deeper, and they have more experiences together. And as we all know, with our sisterhood of friends, the more you go through, life is not always rosy, and the more you go through with folks, the stronger of a bond that you build. And so when things happen to Ava in Rock Chick Revenge, and all of the loss that Jules had in Rock Chick Renegade, and especially when Sadie comes along in Rock Chick Regret,
that was the hardest.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. you have this very, very solid foundation of women supporting women, for these people to depend on and get through these tough times. So I think that would translate really well into TV. Where you kind of have this really fun ride the first couple ones, and then you're like, wait, this is getting a little deep here. But also, I'm talking about women's issues and things that women go through, and really highlighting how supportive we are of each other. And I'd like to see that. It'd be very cool to see that built up. Yeah.
Awesome. And one more that you have, that I can see anyway, I know you have more that you haven't shown the world yet, but you have Taking the Leap, which I just looked up today, and I was so excited to read what that's with Rix, right?
Right.
Yes. And I loved his name. I can't say anything because I was reading the ARC, the advanced reader copy, and him in that first scene of the book, and it was really great. So I was just really excited. I don't think I would have understood reading what it was about had I not read that first chapter in Chasing Serenity, and it's so good. So I'm really excited for more in the River Rain series. Someone said, I think I love the women's friendships more than the romances in the Rock Chicks books, and I love romances. That is so true. I think when you say sisterhood, you're like, oh yeah, but they really are like true sisterhood. And Robin said, I also love the bromances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is, the guys as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you really do. I was reading something the other day of yours. I think it was After the Rain or After the Climb. And I was reading how you were making one of them talk, and I was like, dang, you just fly back and forth with these voices in every different book so fluidly. It's a true gift, and you're very, very good at it. You're on another level of writing. And I've actually listened to a podcast before where people have said that about you, and I'm like, that is true. That is true. This craft is, like you said, a complete art. If anyone's ever tried to sit and write a book before, it's and then to write, 80. That's truly amazing. So where is your favorite place to write? Where do you write all these books at?
Well, my favorite place to write is up in my cabin. I have a cabin up in the mountains in Arizona, and I call it my Ted Kaczynski cabin. But it's a little bigger, and I have running water. So I have a full kitchen, so it's not exactly like that. But it's pretty rustic, and I have, because I'm a single girl up in the mountains, I have neighbors. I don't have people like right next to me, but I can see houses around me, and but mostly it's total quiet, and it gets dark there. I mean, there's no lights, there's nothing artificial anywhere, and it's just a very peaceful place to be. So, but other than that, I mean, I write at my desk. I don't go to a coffee shop and write. I always wanted to be one of those. I love that Jill Chavez, she's always Instagramming her writing view, and she's always off somewhere beautiful around Lake Tahoe. I wish I could be Jill, but I have to be at my desk, with my things around me. I haven't been able to kind of break away. I mean, I even have almost the same exact setup in my cabin as I do here. I mean, I have the desk, I have the desktop computer, I have the whole shebang. So that's the way I do it. Okay, so I've heard, when I've interviewed a lot of different authors now, are you a binge writer, or are you a 2,500 words a day writer? Do you write like a block, or are you like, I just can't stop until this is done? Well, one of the really cool things about COVID and times recently is I was able to take some time to get back into touch with myself, and I am an obsessive writer. It's ridiculous, and you're the first person outside of my inner circle to know this, but I last week just finished an unscheduled book that I'm hoping to shove in as a surprise release sometime this year. And And I have started writing again in that kind of obsessive way where I run out of food, I don't shower, I don't change clothes, I fall into bed, I wake up and I go directly to my computer. I make coffee, I feed my cat, and I start writing. And then I stop writing when I can kind of just do it no more, like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And then maybe try to get something to eat, watch an hour of TV, and then fall into bed again, and then get up and do the same thing. So I wrote this book, which is completely different from anything that I've ever written before, ever. And I am totally in love with it. And everybody I've given it to read, they're like, as I was writing it, they're like, why did you do this to me? I can't wait for you to finish another chapter, because it's a thriller. It's a romantic thriller.
Ooh, okay.
Never done that before. And it's like the chapters are super, super short. It's very, very, jumpy. And it's just like, go, 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 go. There's always something happening. And the hero is just delicious.
Oh, now I can't wait.
And I wrote that in a week. It's not like a 300,000 word book, but I wrote it in a week because I just lived and breathed it.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh yeah.
All or nothing.
So I'm a binge. I got to the point where I was kind of like finishing it around 5 or 6. But with taking the leap was the same thing. I was completely obsessed with. So I'm kind of getting back into, and I prefer to write like that. I prefer to have a book done in 2-3 weeks because I feel like it's tighter for me. I feel like if I'm just completely when I finished, this book is called Misted Pines. When I finished that last Wednesday, Thursday, I went in a total funk because I had lived with them for a week and a half of them being my entire existence. And I actually couldn't pull myself back into the real world. I didn't want to. I wanted their story to continue, but it didn't. It just, there wasn't. And so I actually psychologically kind of lost it a little bit. I laid in bed all day. I just had to kind of let them get out of my, mind and my world.
Yeah.
And
it's like you stare at the ceiling fan, like, I don't know what to do now.
and I tried to make up another book, and I'm glad that I literally on like Friday of last week, woke up and laid in bed, fed Starla, and laid in bed until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, making up a book in my head because I was so desperate to get the magic back. And fortunately, that book sucked. Or I would have just like dropped everything and then
you'd be like, we're gonna have to reschedule. I'm in the mode.
Yeah. So fortunately, that was crap. So, and I could get back into my life and shower.
So can you say more about what is also coming down the pipe that we don't know about? Because I know you have Taking the Leap, which is February 15th, I think.
Yes. So we've got Chasing Serenity, which is in September, and then we've got the Dream Team series, Dream Keeper, which is November, and then hopefully I'll stick Misted Pines in there somewhere. And then Taking the Leap is February, and then I will be doing Brett's story from the Dream series for 1001 Dark Nights. I think that's March.
I wasn't sure if I liked him or not, and now I do. I was on the fence. I was like, do I like you? You're creepy. But then he wasn't creepy, and I liked him. I'm glad you're making his story.
He was totally creepy in the beginning.
Yeah,
but
he really was.
I was like, there's something about this guy. He's just like a good bad guy. How is he?
He is a good bad guy. I did an interview recently with an author, and she said, she's so wise. Her name was Sherry Jones, and she wrote The One-Armed Sister Sweeps the House. And she said, even the bad characters need love too. And they're not all bad. There's good in everybody. And she has some really bad characters, like really bad. And I was like, yeah, because she wrote it like you kind of felt for them. And I agree. Like Brett has a story. He's got more behind him. I hope the mamas in that story. And the restaurant lady, mama, that they would go to. You know what I'm talking about? The restaurant, they would always say, we're having a meeting with mama and Brett will be there. Mama
Oh,
Lopez,
right.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Know what you mean. Yeah. Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited for that.
When you Dreamkeeper, when the November one, if you kind of were falling for Brett in Dream Spinner, you will fall for him in Dreamkeeper. He's 100%.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So then next year, I hope to have a Wild West out.
Yes.
And I actually have a schedule, but I'm not saying anything because I keep going off on tangents and doing other stuff.
Going rogue. Hey, we are not complaining. You want to throw in a Mystic River, you said?
Misted Pines.
Mystic Pines, even better. So Mystic Pines, you want to throw these whoppers out at us? We're going to take it. We're excited. I know everybody says, oh, this is a good question from Natalyn. Will Brett's sisters be in the book?
I don't know. They might. I'm really interested to see what's going on with Brett's family.
Yeah. He had some twists there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because both of his sisters are in Alaska right now, but I really see them. He's too lovable of a guy. I see him having problems with his brother who is in Denver too, and they don't get along. But, he's just such a woman's man. He's really protective of women, when he's not kidnapping them and holding them at gunpoint. But yeah, so I see his sisters as, maybe the dream team gals, Lottie and the gals, get together with his sisters and they connive something for Brett. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I have to ask you, because I'm a total foodie and I love cooking and I love food. I even do shows here on Amazon, but I love your Dream Bites cookbook that you co-authored with Suzanne M. Johnson. What was your favorite recipe? Because I know on Instagram, you guys follow Kristen on Instagram. Kristen Ashley Books is her handle. If somebody wants to type that in the chat, at Kristen Ashley Books, and you post like all your cooking stuff on there. What was your favorite recipe so far out of that book?
I didn't dislike any of them.
No, they were good. We made a few.
The hush puppies are to die for. Yes. Oh, and the hush puppies and the buffalo chicken egg rolls.
Oh, yes. We love the loaded petite potato wedges. Those were our favorite.
Yum.
So definitely grab her cookbook down below. That was just a fun little surprise when that came out. I was not expecting it to be the way it is. I thought it was just going to be a cookbook, which I was like, duh, it's by Kristen Ashley. It's going in my cart. I'm buying it. And then when I got it, I was so impressed with all the chapters you wrote in there, the bonus chapters. You guys have to get this cookbook because I just fell in love. And I would actually buy the physical copy. I have the Kindle copy and I really wish I had the physical. So I would recommend getting the physical copy because I just don't like cookbooks on Kindle version. But I loved all the stories you put in there. They were not like little paragraphs either, you guys. They were full on like stories. I love them. So definitely
that's first of all, I loved it too. That was really fun how writing that. And the way that I wrote it, but
yes.
all the profits that I get from that book go to Rock Chick Nation charities too.
Oh, that is awesome. Okay, well there you go. If any copies you guys buy helps that out, so that's really awesome. That's awesome that you do that. Do you have any advice for aspiring authors?
Yes.
You have an awesome ebook too. I don't know if you still have that on your website. I saw that a few years ago when I found you, and it was awesome. You have an ebook, like a little. You can download it on your website. I think you still have it on there.
Yes.
And it's super informative. I have it printed somewhere in my office. And if you are thinking about writing, I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of questions about that. You laid it all out in that book, if I recall, right?
Yeah, it was actually, it's more like a long pamphlet. It's like 10 pages or something like that. And it's mostly, I don't like to tell people how to write because I think if you're a real writer, you and this is simply my opinion, but I'm careful about talking about how to exercise your craft because I think everybody's process is different. Everybody's voice is different. And I do think that there are probably people who need people to help them exercise their craft. But I had friends that would send me how to write books, and I have never cracked any of them open because I write the way I write, and that's, I'm really strong about that. I mean, I have advice about things like white space in your books and making sure you break up your paragraphs so people don't see a block of text on a book. But that thing that I wrote up is a lot about publishing, self-publishing, and it is still on my website, and I need to go read it and make sure that it's it still works for the world that we're in today.
When I looked at it recently, it still worked. So
Okay.
It's good.
It would have been nice for, to have that for me.
Yes.
I did all the trial and error and not knowing where to go, and you get scammers that you shouldn't pay a penny to have, unless you're having print books done. But if you're publishing digitally, you shouldn't be paying money, and people were getting gouged by all sorts of stuff. Anyway, but for writers, I wish I knew exactly how the quote goes, but it's not mine. It's like dancing without dance like nobody's watching, write like nobody's gonna read.
Yes.
So you write your books, write what you love. Don't think about what the market is. Don't think about what some publisher is going to think. Don't think about what's going to sell. Write your stories.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. You can go to Kristen's website, kristenashley.net. I linked all of her books down below. You guys, almost all of them, not all, she has 80. We only have 40 spots, but you guys can check them all out here on Amazon and grab them. And I have them all on Kindle. I have quite the Kindle collection and a few behind me here and love them. So thank you so much for jumping on this live. We are just so glad to have you.
This was great. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, you know where to find her, and let us know which one you are grabbing next. We will see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.